Hi there, this is Bobby from Ragged Poet, and as promised, I'm doing another March of the Pips video. I'm a bit behind. I think today is the 6th day, and I've got up to day 4 so far, because I've had blue and been doing lots of stuff, and it's been exhausting and lovely and joyous, but yeah. Anyway, I'm really loving March of the Pips. I'm loving getting to know the Marseille or the Pip decks. I'm loving the open reading by Yo Ben Dove, which is the main book that I've looked at some other books and resources, but this one I think is the one I kind of like the best. It's the least, what can I say? I can't think of how I want to describe it, but it seems to me to be rather more objective than the others. Less self-laudatory, and it's more kind of universal. The others seem to come from from a set angle. So yeah, I'm really loving this book. So I've done 4 readings so far. They've all been incredibly accurate. I did the first 3 with the Trionfi della Luna by Patrick of Deviant Moon. And on the first day I got the Lovers, the Chariot, and the Page of Wands. And my interpretation of that was, the key word for the first day was beginning. And my interpretation, which I did put on my Instagram, which is Ragged Poet, is my Instagram name, that in past relationships, I've always let the relationship eat me up and devour me and swallow me until I get lost. I've lost control. But in this relationship that I've been in for nearly 8 months now, I've taken charge. I've taken hold of the reins, not controlling the relationship because that's not what I want to do, but controlling my reactions to the relationship, what I will accept and what I won't accept, what I want to give, and having kind of boundaries. And at the same time relearning love and the language of love, and all those things. So those cards were really appropriate for me. And I think on the second day I got, was it the Page? Oh no, that was duality. I got the 9 of Cups and the Hermit, which is incredible because I got this very dual kind of personality and thing going on me. Even in aesthetics, I mean, I love this concept of a really zenny white bedroom with a bare wooden floor and white sheets on the bed and nothing else. White walls, maybe a wooden cross on the wall because I like crosses, and nothing else. That's all I want in the room. But the other half of me, and the half that I'm living in at the moment, wakes up in a gypsy caravan bohemian room covered in books and colour and altars and cards and decks and rich fabrics and everything, Indian textiles. So yeah, so that's this duality in me there. But in these 2 cards, the 9 of Cups and the Hermit, one half of me in my life has wanted to be part of a family and all the joy that brings and a social circle and interacting and being out there in the world, while the other half is always wanting to run away and hide in her cave. And that tends to be the one that's that's tended to be the one that's won me over for certainly the last 7 or 8 years. But the last year has the 9 of Cups. That joy has really come into control and into power. And someone commented on my Instagram, like the Hermit from the Trionfi della Luna, which you can see on my Instagram page. I haven't got those cards here with me at the moment because I've changed decks. But looks like he's given a thumbs up sign to me entering this 9 of Cups energy. And the 9 of Cups also is like a gestation period when, like the 9 months of pregnancy, and that gets fulfilled at the end of this new being, this new love, this new everything. So it's all kind of happening for me right now, not just with my romantic like relationship, but also with my family, with my grandson being here, Blue, and everything like that. So again, day 2, duality, absolutely spot on cards. Day 3, I got the Page of Cups, which again is about learning new experiences and taking what it has to offer. This guy shows him with a big fat belly, glugging all he can. It's about drinking in new experience to me and relearning, and I'm certainly relearning love and the language of love, as I said before, in this relationship. So another card that's really kind of spot on. And for day 4, which is as far as I've got so far, the keyword was stability, and the cards I drew are these here: the 3 of Cups, the 3 of Wands, La Maison Dieu, or the Tower, the House of God, as it's traditionally called, and the Knight of Cups. And I wanted to do this video because there's so much in these cards that I wanted to say that I couldn't really write it all down on Instagram. First of all, if you look at the way they're arranged, the way I put them down, even in the photo, they don't look like the traditional 4 structure, how people lay out 4 cards. They don't look very stable. But for me, stability is not everything being sound and solid in that way. My stability is change, which doesn't really make sense, but I think I've said before, I'm not happy with planning or having everything written in stone. I like things to be fluid and to change. So that's one of the things that I wanted to say. But also part of my stability is, at the moment, is provided by this Knight of Cups, who is this loving person who nurtures and takes joy out of nurturing, again, both in my relationship and my family. And the 3 of Cups celebrating all of that, and the 3 of Wands being inspired by all of that and growing from that, moving forward. In the 3 of Wands, you are kind of moving forward from the 2, and you're kind of making more of a choice. And all knowing I've done this, kind of making this choice, and where I'm not letting the world control me anymore. A year ago, I felt I was out of control. I was in a similar situation, looking after Blue, and life was kind of running away, and I was feeling a bit stuck and lost. Not because of Blue, but because I didn't know what I was doing in my life. You can hear Blue in the background there. Hang on, Blue. Oh, sorry, I had to go to Blue. But as I was saying, now I feel in control. I don't feel that I'm being dragged along or shut in any corners or anything. I feel like I am moving forward in this huge way inside me. I think I finally kind of accepted who I am, and I'm starting to learn some self-love and being kind to myself, and kind of living in the now too, which I always used to live in the past. So all these cards kind of point to all of this, taking joy in this new growth and this nurturing thing that we get from the Knight of Cups. But the Tower, which seems kind of odd in this stable setup, but for me, the Tower's probably one of my favourite cards in the tarot deck, if not my very favourite card in the tarot deck. The other 2 are the Moon and the 5 of Pentacles. Odd choice for the 5 of Pentacles too, I know. But looking at my own understanding of the Tower is that it's a message from the universe, and a big shot of help from the universe when you need to change something. The Tower card says, okay, you need to make this change. The universe is going to help you here. But that's how I've always looked at it, not of this big calamitous event. I know it can be, but I think it's usually for the positive. I mean, here, it signifies to me this big change in how I viewed my life. Nothing actually on the outside, apart from the new relationship, has changed since last year. And that has made a big thing, and it has been a huge event. But something huge has changed in me. How I look at me, how I look at life, how I am starting to not be a victim anymore. So this is all Tower moments. But in the open reading, there's so much insight into the Tower card, which really made me want to talk about it more. I'm just going to find it here. So this is the book. You've all seen it. Well, anyone doing March of the Pips will have seen it, because it's the one a lot of people use. I've just gone past it again. Where's my tower? Oh, here we go. So it says it's a masculine symbol of power and domination. And this time last year, I was feeling like I was being dominated by life events and not in control. And then it says when it's hit by lightning, it comes as a symbol of pride, suffering, blow. It talks about the Tower of Babel, etc. But then it says, like other things, the tower opens up to heaven. So when it cracks open, it opens up to heaven. And it can represent a miracle or divine intervention in the earthly domain. And it's made of bricks layer by layer, and if we consider it a temple, then the lightning strike of divine grace isn't as an unexpected catastrophe, rather a moment in which the purpose of the building is realised. In this sense, we can see in the card a continuous process reaching a critical point at which everything suddenly starts to move. For example, it can be a sudden realisation of a project after long and laborious preparations. Seen in a negative sense, the image could convey tension that accumulates until it explodes. For example, a hidden personal resentment that builds up and suddenly reveals itself as an open quarrel. One way or the other, the stormy nature of the card indicates an intense and dramatic turn of events. So there's that aspect, but it also looks at how the tower suspends the laws of reality. And it's not clear whether they're actually falling, the two figures are falling from the tower, crawling around from the tower, or hovering in the air. And although it could look like a temporary suspension of gravity that is of the ordinary laws of reality, it could be a critical point of realisation which changes everything. I mean, if it was planned and expected, when it finally happens, it's a shock which can generate a feeling of fantastic reality where for a moment anything is possible. And it says it could describe a period of personal upheaval. And the difficulties in adapting, like when I came to New Zealand, I know, and feeling everything's upside down and very strange. I mean, that was a tower moment in the truest sense, really. But everything does feel kind of upside down. And at some times you feel that you're falling at an amazing rate and you can't stop. But it's all creating a new order. And then it's an artificial structure which rises upward and falls to the ground. Now, I really like this, because if the tower is built on sand, like in the song, and it is artificial and it's built up on crap, then when it comes down, it's coming back to reality, and it's coming back to what really is and the solid foundations of life and your life. And I mean, I added that bit, but I do love that aspect. And then the other things I've seen about it is the tower being opened up is breaking away a wall that could have been trapping you and keeping you confined, like in a prison. So when it breaks down, you come out of that prison and you can look around with a new viewpoint. Okay, so while I'm here, I decided I would do my day 5 reading, which is disruption, the key word, because the 5 is a disruption of the balance of the 4 when you look at numerology. And 5 is also the middle of the cycle from 1 to 10, so things are going to happen around then. It's kind of stuck between the beginning and the end of things. But anyway, that's some way I see the number 5. But this layout here, I drew the world. I've just done this, so I'm just looking at them now. And this is the Piatnik Wien Tarot, or sometimes called the Pointer Tarot, by the way. It's a 1970s deck, very hard to find now, but a friend of mine did find one at great expense. There's the backs. So to me, the world means like everything's in harmony, like the opposite of discord, the opposite of disruption, really. Everything's all harmonizing together. And the next card I drew was a 10 of Cups, which again is about harmony and being surrounded by family, love and joy and everything like that, which kind of all fits. Then I got the Page of Cups, second time in 6 days. And he's about, again, I see him as relearning all this new language of love and learning more about me. And then I got the Ten of Wands, which can feel like a burden. It kind of seems very structured here, and the weight, there's no extra weight at the top than there is at the bottom. But again, I'm not really good at reading pip cards yet and the patterns and what they mean. It just does seem, well, maybe this middle one's more connected. No, I don't know. It's kind of quite evenly balanced, but traditionally it can mean like feeling the weight of a burden, and disruption in certain things going wrong. And I think when I was talking earlier about how I used to view life, I think I did see all my responsibility to home and family and people as a burden. I've never seen it as really like a burden, because I love doing that, but I love nurturing, and I am a nurturer. But you can, if you get out of balance, you can get these feelings that make you feel burdened and that you're taking on too much. And I felt like that a huge amount recently. Well, not so much recently, in the recent past, say, that I was taking on too much and getting overwhelmed by everything. But then we have the Queen of Cups, which is actually probably the closest archetype in the tarot to who I am. The kind of the nurturing person, someone who's like emotionally secure, which I feel far more emotionally secure now than I ever have in my life, and like nurturing other people, I think, in that security. But in the Ben Dove book, it's interesting. He says, a rich but hidden inner world, stunted and controlled emotion under an external guise of the intellect. Closing in and defending oneself, difficulties opening up emotionally. A person who has a lot to offer, but one has to make an effort to reach him. Guarding something of value, seeing things through the narrow perspective of past experience. All this is true. This is all things that I was doing. Possibly traumatic, without opening up to new possibilities. Being emotionally content, spending time with oneself, a secure feeling in the present situation. So there's kind of light and shadow in that side. And I certainly have felt maybe the shadow, this card here, shadowing it on this side, on the side here, shows the shadow of that side where I did feel I was losing myself. I wasn't able to, I was emotionally closed down. I was running away and hiding inside and hiding all my feelings and not making them known, not even to myself. And because I was doing that, it led me to feel that this burden here. So when I look at the whole reading as a whole, this disruption, with the disruption theme, I think the disruptions happened in a good way, because these are all positive things. This relearning of love has, that has brought me back to my original nature and bringing out these emotions, and has kind of got rid of that burden, that feeling of burden. So yeah, that's how I'm seeing it anyway, and I like it. It feels right. It feels intuitively right to read it that way, that these cards have zapped this whole big burden card. So there we are. This is my second March of the Pips video. Hopefully I'll get a few more done before the end of the month. I'm really loving it, and hopefully I'll learn a lot more about reading pips. The majors I kind of tend to read the same as I always have, but I really am loving, as I said, Job Ben Dove's insights into cards. So I'm going to say bye-bye for now, and I'll see you for another video soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.